An entitled Karen thinks that she has the right to take anything and everything off of other people's desk, claiming that if it's out in the open, then she has every right to take it and steal it for herself. And I'm honestly still blown away by this level of entitlement that I now seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so we have this entitled jerk that works in our department. She's the secretary, so she comes in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and everyone else comes in at about 7:30. The other day she was late, which is a very rare occasion, and as soon as she came in, she came to my desk and took one of my K-cups. She then proceeded to try and use it at my Keurig on my desk. I asked her what she was doing, but she said to me that because it's out, she figured it was for anybody. I said to her, no, the things I bring in and pay for and leave at my desk are not for everybody. Then I asked her how long she's been taking my K-cups. Her response was to say, well, not every day. So I obviously told her that my things at my desk are off limits. I told some coworkers what happened, and they all said they would come into work and get the feeling that someone had been rifling through their things. So we decided someone would come in early and sit in the conference room, looking over at our desk just to see what was going on before we came in. Well, we discovered that she would come in and take things off a person's desk. She makes coffee from my machine, makes an oatmeal packet from a box someone leaves at their desk, use honey from someone else's desk, and in the meantime goes from desk to desk and just goes through people's things. She took post-it notes from one person, a pen from another one. She took one of someone else's daily vitamins. Then she ate and drank her coffee and reorganized her desk with other people's things before 7:30 when everyone else gets in. Now, obviously, we were shocked, angry, and felt very violated. I mean, how long was this going on for? We went to our boss and had a meeting to discuss what we knew was going on, and this lady saw no fault in what she did. She kept saying if it's out in the open, then anyone can use it, by following up and saying, why leave it out if you don't want people to touch it? Everybody said they felt violated and didn't think that they had to lock up post-it notes at the end of the night, but this entitled Karen just shrugged it off and saw zero problem with what she did. The boss told her to knock it off, but we just don't trust that she won't do it again. Now, as a result, everyone locks up everything in their filing cabinet at the end of the day. We thought about it and we all thought we were crazy. I would swear I had more K-cups in my box, or I knew I just brought enough snacks for the week, or I swear I had 2 pens on my desk, but somehow things would get still misplaced without my knowledge. After that fiasco, we realized all the other liberties she takes with other people's things. She would be using people's hand lotion without asking, taking candy off of someone's desk, using someone's creamer in their fridge, and we kept telling her enough is enough, but she really thinks she has a right to all of those things. So, needless to say, her entitlement is unreal, and I never in my life have ever worked with an entitled Karen that behaves this way. Okay, it is crazy to me that she didn't get in more trouble than that. She is straight up stealing from people's desk, and all she gets is a slap on the wrist. Like, seriously, what is going on right now? That is really weird to me, and it's a shame that the boss didn't take more steps to punish this entitled Karen for stealing from people. Because you know what? Chances are she probably stole from the boss as well. And here's the thing, if you work in an office setting and you know there are people around you and they have stuff out in the open, it literally goes without saying that you don't touch their stuff and you don't steal their property. So for this lady to literally be grabbing cups off this person's desk and using their coffee machine for their own benefit, that is not only disgusting but also so inappropriate. So yeah, this entitled Karen was completely out of line, and as someone who values their privacy, I would be furious if she did that to me, because there is no way in the world I would ever put up with that. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. An entitled tour guide tries to get me in trouble after I kick her out of the room for being a distraction. So when she tries to complain that I was a jerk for no reason, I decided to stand up for myself, resulting in her getting a formal warning. Here's what happened. Okay, so this happened about 3 years ago. Back then, I was still working in a brewery as a brewer. At that day, one of the trainees was working in the brew house for the first time alone. An hour before I could clock off, he came to me and asked me if I could help him. So we went to the mash mill, which is the mill that will crush the malt into flour, and he told me that it isn't working anymore. We started the mill, and after a few seconds, malt started pouring out of the top part of the mill. I then climbed up the wobbly ladder that we had and started checking the small bin on top of the mill. Now, the thing was, the mill is nearly 100 years old, so we had to work carefully. So while I was digging around in the malt because I thought there was a plug in the bin, the trainee started screwing screwing up the mill. The ladder was about 6 meters tall, so we both had to yell in order to communicate. And suddenly, the door flies open, and one of the tour guides walks in with a few guests that she was showing around. The trainee and I were still working and yelling, and suddenly this dumb idiot comes over to us and demands that we stop our work because she's doing a tour right now. Now, mind you, I was still on top of a wobbly ladder, and I really should already be home by now, so I was quite upset. I yelled back at her and said, "Shut up. Repairing the mill is more important than showing around a bunch of tourists that are only here to get wasted." Well, funnily enough, a few months prior to that, we had a meeting with the big boss, and at that meeting, the boss gave everyone who worked in production the explicit authority to expel the guides and their tours from rooms in the brewery should they in any way interfere with our work in some way, which is something that the guides knew. So I told the guide to immediately leave the malt room, which she did with an angry glare. The trainee and I then managed to fix the mill, and I went home. The next day, I was ordered to the boss's office. He told me that the guide complained about me for being rude and unnecessarily expelling her from the malt room. I then admitted that I may have been harsh, but I explained that I was shoulder deep in malt on top of a ladder over time. So please just forgive me for not being in the best of moods. I then explained what exactly happened yesterday, and the trainee can confirm my story. The boss then apologized for suspecting me and sent me on my way. And thankfully, the tour guide got a stern talking to, and they were given a formal warning. Man, I love it when people who think they have all this power and authority over you try to exercise this make-believe power only to then get shut down. Like, I'm willing to guess that what was going wrong with this mill is probably really important because it seems like you really wanted to fix this sooner than later. So yeah, the way that tour guide acted was completely inappropriate, and I think you did the right thing for defending yourself because clearly she was just salty she got kicked out of that room, and she obviously just wanted to get you in trouble, and that in my opinion is completely uncalled for. My entitled in-laws came to visit our baby while they had COVID, refusing to tell us that they felt sick despite the fact that my baby just had surgery. And now, even after they've left my house, I still hold a grudge against them despite my husband's protest. And at this point, I seriously don't think I'll forgive them anytime soon. Here's what happened. Okay, so my spouse and I live across the country from both of our parents. We live so far away due to work, and maybe we see our families once or twice a year. Last year, we had our first baby, and both of our parents were extremely happy. It was just me and my husband taking care of a baby by ourselves in another state. My parents came out to visit our baby first, and they were super helpful. I mean, they helped us cook and clean and watch the baby some mornings so that we could get some rest, and they ended up leaving after a couple of weeks. And then his parents came out when our baby was 2 months old, and mind you, me and my husband were exhausted. Our baby was born with clubfoot, so we had to go through weekly cast chains from the baby's toes up to his thighs. So we had Achilles tendon surgery, and now we are in braces for his feet. So it's just been really tiring for the both of us. So when his parents came out, they decided it would be smart to go to Mexico for a weekend and have a party with their family literally a couple days before seeing us. They were feeling sick and didn't tell us until after arriving, and right when we picked them up from the airport. Mind you, I'm a nurse, and I kept telling them to test for COVID since we had home test kits. They both were too proud and said no at first that they didn't have it, but I ended up making them, and yes, they did have COVID. And when I found this out, I was so heated. My husband was so hurt because we just wanted his parents to see his first baby, and they had to isolate themselves into another room. I ended up having to take care of them and feed them instead of them coming to help us out. His mom ended up having a later stay than his dad. She stayed for like 2 months per my husband's request, and I could not be more ready for her to freaking leave. Her constant nagging about the house needing to be cleaned and how we weren't doing any cooking and cleaning in our brand new built house. I never snapped at her, but I really wish I would have. I have so much built up anger towards this woman. I remember one day me and my husband had no sleep with our baby the night prior, and she was in an upset mood, and she was complaining about the dust in our house. She legitimately dragged her finger across our stairs and told us to look at the dust on her finger. Like, I seriously could not believe what she was doing. I mean, I am just so over them. They are both just so annoying. His dad tried to give the baby a Ritz cracker at 4 months old, and his mom tried to give him water without a regular cup too. His dad was so upset we didn't go to the beach when they were here. I mean, he was only here for 2 weeks, but was isolated for most of that time. Our baby literally just had surgery, and he was upset me and my husband didn't want to go. The baby couldn't even get in the water because he had his cast on still. I've talked to my husband, and he tells me me it's been 8 months now, and he's telling me to just forget about it, but I can't. They are just so annoying to me, and I seriously will never get over the way that they treated us. Yeah, that really is inconsiderate. The fact that they showed up to your house after your baby had surgery, and they're like, yeah, we just don't feel well after this trip. And then they try to be like, no, we're not going to take a COVID test. Only for it then to be revealed that yes, they do have COVID. Like all of that at once as some kind of like big combo would have driven me nuts. Like that would have driven me up a wall. There's no way I would be okay with that. So yeah, I don't blame you for having this grudge against your in-laws because the way they acted was so selfish. They didn't even help you for a second with your new baby, and in my opinion, that is completely inappropriate. Tonight at my serving job at the restaurant I work at, I finally lost my composure on a bunch of entitled customers who treated me like garbage after I served them for well over 4 hours. And I'm honestly still very satisfied with the way that I shut these people down. Here's what happened. Okay, I've been serving for about a year now, and I've never understood how servers can lose their cool at tables. Well, it finally happened last night. I had so many good tables last night, but I had one table that was just completely frustrating. There were 2 ladies that were lovely. I had served them for about 3 hours before another 2 ladies joined them, and I went up to the table and I said, "Hi ladies, are you just catching up or did you want to order some food?" It was very late and the 2 ladies that recently joined had been sitting at the bar for a while, so I assumed they just recognized my table and sat down to say hi. Well, one of the ladies goes, "Obviously we came here to eat." So I grabbed her menu and I gave her some time to order. In the meantime, I helped her friend select a wine. The same lady and I were going over the wine list after she ordered her food, and she took it out of my hands and said, "Give that to me, I can read." So I just kind of left and came back later to get her order. After serving this same table for about 4.5 hours, I dropped off the check and it was sitting there empty for like 20 minutes. As I'm standing at the computer, this lady goes, "Hello," and then she whistles at me and snaps her fingers. I honestly didn't know she was trying to get my attention, but I turned around with probably the most sour expression on my face, trying to see who was addressing someone like that in the restaurant. When I realized she was addressing me like that, I unintentionally gave her a dirty look and held up my finger to tell her I just need a moment. When I went over there, she said to me, "What's with the face, sweetie?" And this is where I really messed up. I said to her, "You never need to address anyone like that. My name is Sky, so next time you need me, please refrain from calling me over like a stray dog." When I said that, all of their jaws dropped and my heart sank. I've never once gotten even close to talking back to one of my tables, but I was coming off of a 10-hour shift, and these ladies struck my last nerve. And no, they didn't even tip me, but their tab was like $40 after being there for 4 hours, so trust me, I cut my losses for that table long before they decided to leave. Yeah, those people were completely out of line. For them to snap at you and be like, "Hey, over here, what's wrong with your face? Of course I'm ordering, I want to sit down and eat." Like all these remarks would have definitely rubbed me the wrong way as well, and I honestly just love the fact that you decided, no, I am absolutely not going to put up with that. You are not their servant, you are not their slave, they do not get to whistle you over whenever they want you. And in my opinion, I think you were just giving them the same energy they were giving you. They were acting snobby and stuck up, they were treating you like garbage, so why not return the favor? At that point, after 4 hours of serving these jerks, like seriously, who cares about a tip? Like their behavior was atrocious, and I'm willing to bet that this is the first time anybody's called them out on that, because their jaws hit the floor. Like you can tell that they've never been talked to like that, and they've always kind of like gotten away with it. So the fact that you called them out and put them in their place is just beautiful to me. The original poster goes on to say that apparently the manager never found out because these idiots just didn't say anything. So in my opinion, I chalk that up completely as a win, because their behavior was completely unacceptable, and they absolutely deserve to be called out. Am I the jerk for not wanting one of our roommates to move into our new place with me and my husband? Because right now, after dealing with this guy for several months, as well as his messy behavior and lack of responsibility, I'm doubting if I could ever live with him ever again. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so let me just start off by saying that I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for all parties involved. But with that being said, I'm not really sure how to work this out. For a bit of background, I'm a 29-year-old female and I got married almost 2 weeks ago. My husband and I have lived together for several years, and I am the main financial body in the home, and I handle all the bills, groceries, and finances of all kinds. A friend of ours who is a 35-year-old male, in the last several months went through a hard breakup and has been sleeping on our couch. We have just been trying to help him out, but definitely not without issue. He does give us money here here and there to help out with groceries, gas, and household needs, but he also breaks several of the HOA rules our condo has. He is not on a lease as it's a private rental for us with a private owner we know, but as of the beginning of June, we have to relocate because the owner would like to sell the property. He's been very good to us and we hold no ill will towards him because of his need to sell, but we have been on the search over the last 2 months, and with this guy as our new roommate not having a place to stay, aside from him staying with us, we have considered having him come along. But as we have lived together over the last couple of months, my husband and I are finding more and more reasons for not wanting him to come with us. Now, just to name a few, we have found piles of cigarette butts on our back patio, which by the way is against the HOA rules and policies. He's also not keeping his space clean. For example, he will leave mostly full cans of soda on our table close to the edge and stack them on top of one another. He will also have dirty clothes out in the open and just leave trash everywhere. Also, he doesn't help out with household chores at all. And this includes stuff like the dishes, taking out the dogs, which one of them is his, or doing any cleaning of any kind. One thing that really gets me is him knocking once when our bedroom door is obviously closed, and then proceeding to just walk in after the first time. Now, we are looking at places to move to, and we found one very recently that would allow his 8-year-old pit bull, but it has many other rules. He would not be allowed to smoke on the property and would have to walk to the street. Mind you, it's not a big complex, but this was a big point of contention for him. He would also have to part with one of his animals, most likely his cat, because there is a limit of 2 pets per unit, and we would also be parting ways with our cats to follow this rule. He's complained about having to follow certain rules or leave his car behind, along with his inability to clean up after himself or even respect our space, and it's honestly just gotten to the point where we just don't want him to come along. So how do we nicely tell him that we want to live on our own as many married couples want to do? Because right now it seems like a very sensitive situation, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, I want to elaborate on something the original poster said, because they stated they would be willing to get rid of one of their cats just so they could follow the rules of this new place that they would be going to. But apparently they would only do that if they brought their friend along. But now that they've effectively changed their mind, they're not actively planning on rehoming their cats with a friend or something like that. That was immediately bothering me, but it looks like they clarified that towards the end of the story. But honestly, with that in mind, I think it really would be a good idea to sit this friend down and say, hey, we're moving out and you can't come with us. According to the original poster, they have all known about this since March 1st, and they currently have until June to figure out their living situation. And in my opinion, that is plenty of time for this guy to find something else. Like seriously, you do not have to be shackled with this guy for the rest of your life. You are under no obligation to deal with this guy on a daily basis, and you definitely do not have to feel forced to have him as a roommate, especially if he's an awful roommate. Like, this guy doesn't carry his weight, he doesn't do anything to improve the situation, and I can see him being such a problem in this new place. So in my opinion, I don't think you would be the jerk for wanting your roommate to find his own place, because based on what you're describing, he did not sound like he would be a good roommate in the slightest. Am I the jerk for not comforting my brother after my dad's parents pull the rug out from underneath him? Because right now there are a lot of hard feelings around my family, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, to get the details out of the way, biologically my 20-year-old brother is my half-brother. My parents were married when he was conceived, but my mom didn't cheat, and my dad swore to raise my brother no matter what. He gave him the family middle name Benedict, and he legally adopted him. He never treated him any different to me and my younger brother. We always knew the truth though, and everyone did because it was sort of a public thing, and this includes my dad's family. Now, my dad's family are people I never really liked. I always picked up on the fact that they didn't like my older brother, and that they didn't like my mom for having him or my dad's decision to raise my brother. I remember being 10 years old and hearing some of my aunts and uncles complain with my grandfather that my brother got Benedict as a middle name when he wasn't one of us. Another time they made comments about my mom that were really derogatory and not kind at all. Now, I had mentioned it to my parents and they told me they would deal with it, and my dad told me not to worry. Well, it got more blatant in recent years. They're still careful not to say it around my parents and siblings or one of my uncle's wives, but I heard them say more disgusting things a few months ago, and I just called them out on it. They acted like my brother was some kind of like stain on the family and that he was wrong to even exist in the first place. It's not just their attitude towards my brother either. They are pretty homophobic and racist, but again, they keep it hidden from the family and my uncle's wife. So I decided I should tell my brother because he's an adult and I didn't want him getting hurt. But he didn't believe me. He called me a liar and accused me of having a personal grudge against them and trying to turn him against them for no good reason. And honestly, this really upset me. Even my parents said my dad's family had apologized for saying what they did before, but they wouldn't do it again. Well, things really hit the fan a week ago, and my dad's parents, with the support from his siblings, made it clear that my brother is not their family. He will not inherit with the rest of the grandchildren. They don't want him sitting with the family for the funeral. They threw the fact that he's not blood in his face, and the fact that he was born from some lady of the night, that they never loved him, and they had taken every measure to make sure he gets nothing, which according to them is exactly what he deserves. Now, of course, my family are all devastated, and my brother more so than anybody else. He moved back in with us temporarily, and my parents and younger brother are supporting him, but nobody has acknowledged that I did try to warn them, and I tried to help them see and even stood up for him. They told me that nobody could have seen it coming, and I was like, oh really? I must be nobody then, and I must have never said a word before. Well, they told me to focus less on myself and comfort my brother, and I told them I tried to do that and I was called a liar for it. My brother told me that I had not brought him any proof, and he just wants to feel like he's part of our family. So honestly, am I the jerk for trying to reveal the truth to my brother? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Yeah, in my opinion, I kind of think you're being a jerk because it really does seem like you're making this about you. You really should be trying to focus on your brother right now and making sure he feels welcome in your family. Because right now, it seems like you're acting as if, oh yeah, I told you so, but you didn't listen. But like, really, is right now the time to be doing that? Like, your brother is clearly grieving the fact that his extended family has rejected him entirely, and you want to sit here and make it about you? Like, I really think you have your priorities mixed up. So yes, in my opinion, you are definitely the jerk. And I think if you really cared about your brother, you would put your pride aside and try to focus on him. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.